This is our speaker. His name is Daniel McMullan. He's from the US. He's going to tell us about tech from the 1980s to right now. He's been programming for a very long time, for 40 years plus right now, and he's got a crazy technology to tell us about. So this man right here built a software that pays you money for someone using your code. Like, it's crazy. It's like a lot of, like, it's crazy. He wrote a website, I don't know, software that pays you for someone using your code. Like, you wrote a code, dump it, and then you get paid. And it works. It works. So it's gonna tell us about, and that's the future, where you get paid for your softwares. And someone like me that has a lot of open source projects that I've done out there, I think it would be nice if I have money from it, because I get emails when someone use my code and I'm like, oh, someone's using it, but I don't get any money. Yeah. I programmed it to send me email when someone use it. It's crazy. So yeah, Mr. Daniel McMullan, time is already going. I've spoken for so long. I'm sorry, please. Just go ahead and do your thing. Thank you so much.
All right, great. So I wanted to talk a little bit about my story and the history of computer stuff, or the way I saw it. I actually started in 1978 when I was 12 years old, and I was lucky enough that my father worked at a company where there was a mainframe computer, and I got to use it. Most kids my age would not be allowed to touch a mainframe, which was really the size of a room. Lots of fans. It was all the reel-to-reel tape. So it was that class of machines, if you've seen old movies and stuff. And it had punch cards. So these cards about yay big and had holes in them. And the reader you'd have to feed the cards in, and it would try to understand zeros and ones based on the holes punched in the cards. Totally crazy. And but I when I started programming, I had to deal with that stuff, and then it turned out to be on ticker tape, a yellow piece of tape about this thick with lots of holes in it, and that replaced the cards. So you'd have whole programs on a roll of paper, be like that thick. Totally ridiculous. And these machines don't have any permanent memory. So if you turn on the machine, it wouldn't know anything. You'd have to feed in this tape, and it would read all the holes and everything just to figure out what program you're wanting to run. Just pretty bizarre. So I went through a whole bunch of languages that were made for the Unix server. Years later, I was part of a community that helped build Linux, which was a knockoff of Unix. So Unix was a $1 million, computer and software back end, and the kernel, the engine that ran all the processes, and only big corporations could have a machine like that and have an operating system. So when I met this community of people working on this thing called Linux, and eventually it's what we know as Red Hat or Ubuntu or any of those different variations of the original Linux. So that was obviously before the internet, because there was really no way of networking machines through phone lines other than what we called a bulletin board system. And so that was special software that would allow you to take your telephone line and connect it to your computer. And it's just totally crazy. That was sort of mid 80s that I was doing bulletin board systems. And towards the late 80s, early 90s, no, I want to say a little later than that, maybe early 90. I can't remember now, so sorry, I should have written it out. But anyway, started meeting all these really wonderful communities that were trading software and software ideas, and you could teletype back and forth, and that was it. You couldn't it didn't have emojis. You didn't have any of the things that you have now, and you'd have to wait forever for a response. And you can imagine the old time days. So I certainly had a lot of fun doing that. And I started a couple businesses, none of which were successful or made tons of money or anything, but they were able to survive 5 or 6 years, and then I'd have to close the store because I couldn't keep it going for whatever reason, couldn't find the proper market. I was doing a lot of custom software for companies, small mom and pop shops, to help them run their companies. And I don't know how much more I want to say about the old days, other than trying to program on a in a small area. There wasn't a lot of room for memory at all to run a program, to execute a program. And so the skill set of writing really tight code, really small, without referring to lots of libraries and the way that today computers are run, it's amazing how we've gotten from those days right to where we are now. And I really want to talk about what I see the new world of programming. And I hear a lot of you are doing Python programming. In the early days of the internet, we were using Perl, which is still a great language. And then that sort of turned into PHP, which I'm sure you've heard of and probably played around with. Python came out of nowhere, and that was pretty popular, continues to be. But I want to talk about how I see the whole world shifting. And I'm certainly part of a movement that I think is very forward thinking. And I think it's just inevitable where the technology goes and where us all programmers wind up. And of course, AI is rapidly going to be taking away jobs, and it's going to be harder and harder to find a job. And I worry about all that stuff. I mean, how's it going to play out? What is it that humans can do that AI can't do? Right. And whatever AI can do now, even okay, it's gonna be so much better just in a couple of years. A lot of people ask, well, what programming language should I get into? And I that's a real hard question. It really depends on the demand, right? It depends on the company that's decided to hire Python programmers, or whatever language it might that might be ideal for their company. But I think all of that is sort of old school. I think that the idea of companies owning software, I mean, certainly GitHub is a great way to exchange programs, but there's a level of trust that doesn't exist. You can't trust somebody else's code. I mean, it seems if thousands of other people using this code, why can't I use it? I know, from doing this for a long time, I would never trust just, any old library off of GitHub. I think that whole world is crazy and, is problematic over time. And so I even before Bitcoin, I used to talk to my group of programmers about, we never call it cryptocurrency, but that idea of trust and a money layer, and how to do that in a trustless way. So you have two total strangers across the internet and have a contract that is unbreakable, immutable. And so when blockchain technology started coming around, I wasn't that excited about it being a money layer so much as I saw it as a trust layer, a way that, in this case, in Bitcoin, you could trust someone by, sending money, and you could trust that they had it and that your wallet was debited the amount you sent. Fantastic technologies, and a way to prove that by distributing that truth among lots of computers. And you all know crypto enough that, it would take a majority to overtake a blockchain. It's just a fantastic way of staying safe and keeping the truth. And right, if all those computers agree, then that is the way that data is. And so, to me, when Bitcoin came online, that was really the beginning for me, a signal for ideas of how code and programmers could work in a way, could cooperate in a way that can come and go around the same time or years later, and participate in building out a software library that should be saved on a blockchain, so that once that code is written and vetted and then placed on the blockchain, that it would be there forever and reusable. And now you add the idea of every time it does get used, that the programmer or programmers involved get a micro penny, a payment for using their software forever and ever, a royalty payment. And so I've about 2 years ago, when I first met Daniel, the host of our show here, it was on Twitter. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? You're the first person I met. And
Yeah, bro, we just did trying to talk on that Twitter space, and Daniel was like talking about stuff, and he's like, "Are you from Nigeria?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm from Nigeria." That is like 2 years ago, pretty long.
yeah,
And I remember we met at before you now took me to Vibe Horn, and I met Elizabeth. You know, you told me about this and some crazy stuff.
right.
You
Yeah.
know?
It really was 2 years ago that I started looking for a blockchain where I could pursue this idea of blocks of code that are interchangeable, that are reusable, that would pay royalty fees. And this particular blockchain deals in micro payments or micro pennies. So they take a coin and they divide it into 1,000,000 parts, so that each part is called a nano. I'm not sure, how many people have heard of this stuff. Give me a thumbs up or something if I'm boring you to tears. But to me, it was a whole new world, and so I just want to tell you my experience over the last 2 years of joining up with all sorts of other people with the similar ideas, with the same desire to have a system where when you write code, that it can be forever used, and that you can get paid for it, instead of the company that you work for get paid for it and get millions of dollars for your work. Is that independent programmers could participate in any small or large way and be paid micro pennies for their work over time, if the software is being used by people. So that whole concept is fascinating to me, and I wanted to pursue it, and that's what I've been doing. And I meet regularly on Sundays at 2:00 Eastern Standard Time here in the U.S., which is a half an hour ago, all right, when this meeting started, the same time slot. And it's an amazing organization now. So in the 2 years, it took probably a year for me to start really meeting the people that I wanted to work with, but all this stuff is possible. And soon I will show you how this blockchain works, how the micro pennies work, and our MVP, our minimal viable product, that shows off the concept and how this whole thing works. But we're still working on building out that library so that it does more than just the MVP. So I hope that's interesting to you. And so when we talk about the future of programming, I think it's almost a race to build lasting products, software products. I refer to it as unstoppable software, because once you get this software on the blockchain, it's there forever as long as the blockchain is running, right? So in 20 years from now, I should be able to get back on a browser and call up the code that calls up all my data that's also stored on the blockchain. It's there forever for me to get to. And so this allows all sorts of companies that may not have money for big subscription fees to be able to try out different software, to start using it. And the idea is that software, you don't have to throw away your software and get another software package. That's very time consuming to train people, time consuming to import your data, all that crazy stuff, right? So the idea of this project on a chain is that your software can evolve, that you never get rid of it completely. You constantly grow it, you evolve it, you swap out pieces for other pieces that have been built that can be found in the library. So again, you don't pay any subscription fee if you find the software that you like, and as you're using it, micro payments come out of your wallet and go into the wallet of the programmer. It's actually split with the programmer and the person who invested in the programmer programming it. In other words, if you get a contract, someone's going to pay me $100 to write some code. I take the $100, I write the code, and now forever, every time someone uses the code, I split that micropayment with the person that paid me the $100 to write the code in the first place. Of course, I don't have to take someone's money. I can write the whole thing without being paid for it and then receive 100% of the micropayment. So none of this makes sense, really. None of this really works until we have hundreds of thousands of people using this stuff. And so me and all this group of people that we call the DESO community. So DESO stands for decentralized social, and it being on the blockchain, it's a peer-to-peer network, so that it's really the block is being put together by validators that are all over the world and owned by different people, so that it's decentralized. Nobody controls it. Nobody can spoof the code. And all the code runs in a browser. So it's all JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. Those are the three basic internet languages. No Python, no PHP. Doesn't even need a server. Again, it runs all out of your browser so that you can totally trust it. If you trust the code that's on the blockchain, and of course, because it's on the blockchain, it's immutable. It won't ever change. Nobody can hack it. So why the DESO blockchain is different from Ethereum or Bitcoin, which I'm sure you're familiar with, is that both those blockchains have a very small area to save data or to save programming. And so the DESO blockchain is built in a really smart way where it can accommodate lots of room for code. So there's safety issues, so you can't be attacked by a middleman attack. If you understand those things, that's a big problem when you're grabbing information off of the server all day long in your browser. But when you can go directly to the blockchain, run it off your browser, there's no middleman. There's no middleman to attack. So let me just start showing you the blockchain. Daniel, our host, also has an account. And this is what it looks like. It's sort of like a Twitter feed. Oh, am I sharing a screen here right now? No, probably not. Excuse me. Am I sharing a screen, Daniel? No, I don't think I am. Sorry, guys.
Nah, you're not sharing. I've not seen anything.
Oops. Let me try that again.
I think you stopped sharing then when before
Yeah.
everyone.
Okay. There we go. Yeah, okay. So I think you can see this. So this is a basic like Twitter feed, right? You can open up a message, you can look at all the comments. And on a blockchain, there's a lot of social networks out there now, but this is going on. Oh, what's that?
Yes.
You're familiar with this?
50. I can't let it go. Half 100,000. JBL is very good.
Which brand?
Boom play, sorry.
Boom plate. Oh. Yeah,
It's
it can be because
very,
it's
very good.
Remind me this musician. He's the one who always published that.
David,
Mhm.
I don't know. We just got it. Yeah, explain.
Hey, you want to mute your microphone, Daniel?
Oh yeah. Then I'm trying to fix something.
Oh, okay. You good? All right, all right. All right. So, yeah. So the idea here is that you can give people a thumbs up. You can also tip them a certain amount of real money. So a penny, 4 pennies, 35 cents, $4, $35 if you wanted to. Here's my wallet. I've got 11 cents in it. And the Dizo coin is worth a whole $7 a piece, $7.04. Not like Bitcoin where it's worth, I don't know, $100,000 now. So this is, the coin, very little money. And the idea is that every transaction, everything that you do, you save a comment, every action costs a micro payment. So let me just show you. If I go to my profile and I view my activity, there's a ledger like Bitcoin, where every single action is recorded. So you can see here, I just gave a thumbs up to that one post. That was a minute ago. And you can see it cost me 0.00000015, right, of a penny to do that action. And so everybody here is constantly spending a little bit of money. You can do these things 20,000 times and it only costs a penny. So you don't really think about it as money, but it's a trust system that only my wallet could do this thing, could only send a micro payment to do whatever action it is that I'm doing. So let me, I don't know if many people are familiar with this sort of blockchain. I know more and more things are coming online. Farcaster, if you've heard of that. This blockchain is particularly unique, where it allows me to do pretty exceptional programming. Again, programming where the trust is completely between your browser and the blockchain. That has never been done before. And now I'm going to show you the prototype, or the MVP of our product. We call it the list maker. Okay. And I'm going to just refresh the screen. Oh, yeah, I'll show you that. Refresh the screen. And now I'm going to do a Dizo login. And what happens is there's this, it shows all the different accounts that I've set up. You can have multiple accounts, totally fine. My main account is called Diamond Thumb. I practice with this. I do all my coding with this wallet. And then the RDAO Foundation is something pretty important that I want to talk about before we wrap up. But let's get into the product. So I'm going to click into this wallet, and so the blockchain acknowledges me. I'm the only one that has permission for that wallet, and it's starting me off with a blank list maker. So I can make a list. It's like an Excel spreadsheet with one column. Not very exciting, right? But it works in this way. I click here. I can write something. Hello. And then by clicking on the outside, it saves that information. I put a space in there. I'm going to go fix that. So I save it like that. And now it's saved that information on the blockchain. I'll show that to you in a moment. I'm going to write something else. Let's see. Second thing here. And now we save it. It's been saved. Okay. I want to make a title. You get the idea. Okay. Okay, so now all the code lives on the blockchain. All my data that I just wrote out lives on the blockchain. I'm gonna show that to you right now. This hexadecimal code leads us to the data, to the message that's on the blockchain that I was showing you a moment ago. So if I go to this exact message that I just copied and pasted the hexadecimal, it will show you my title was written by this account, and I left the word hello, and then second thing here. Okay, so here it is. We're seeing it on the blockchain, yet I can disguise it with my coding, right, to make it this list thing. This is a program. And if I wanted to go look at the code, shall we do that? How many of us are programmers here? I hope I'm not wasting anybody's time. Interested in looking at the back end of anything? I can just go on. All right, I'll just show a little back end. Yeah, so the idea is oh, maybe it's because it's sharing. Oh, I'm not sure. Oh, give me a second here. I'm trying to find. I guess it's not going to show it to me. That's all right. Well, the idea is that every time I use this, I'm going to go to that wallet. So if I go back and log into that wallet here, and I look view activity, you'll see that my wallet edited that post. It made a comment. I changed the word, hello. I edited it, and this wallet sent a micro payment to this wallet here, the OneCoin test. And so over time, every time someone uses that code, right, essentially 17 thousandths of a penny gets transferred to my wallet. And I can look at the details of that transfer. It's all broken down. It's all held on the blockchain, every single little bit of it. So it's completely accountable and therefore trustworthy. So that's basically what I was wanting to sort of plant the seed and let you understand how there's a whole world out there being built on blockchain technology where code that you write, if you want to start your own company, there's a place for you to store it. And every time someone uses it, you get micropayments. You can turn those micropayments into a penny or $1 every time someone uses it, whatever the market will bear. All right, that's all I wanted to show. If you have questions or anything, love to talk more about it. Daniel, you still there? Hello. Thank you, Blessing. Thank you so much. Very cool. Any questions? Really, should I be looking at the chat? No questions? Okay. Cool. Well, I hope that made sense and was sort of give you a handle on where I've been and how exciting this whole new world with blockchain technology is. Right now, it's not being used properly. It's being used for Bitcoin and people moving money, which is, part of it. But look over the next couple of years, coding on the blockchain is, I think, going to be just inevitable. Makes sense. Okay, Daniel. Hey, so I've wrapped up.
Yo.
I've opened it up to questions. If anybody has questions.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I went to open the gate for my friend. Yeah.
No problem.
Does anyone have any question? If you have a question, just raise up your hands, or we're just gonna call it a day. You know.
Yeah. Perfect.
I think there's someone that looks like he has a question. What advice? Can you ask your question? Blessing. Yeah, go ahead.
Good evening. So actually,
Yeah.
I'm just into tech. Like I'm a newbie, so I wanted to ask like about blockchain. Like, is it only used for crypto, or it can be used for building websites to blockchain?
I didn't understand the last part of your question. Sorry. Say that again.
Yeah, he's asking if blockchain is only used for crypto.
Yeah. No, very much not. No, I'm proving to you here that that crypto has many uses, right? What they call utility. And right now, banks are using it, governments are using it to move money. You know, people buy Bitcoin and they make money from it. But to me, that's just scratching the surface. That's just a small part of it. Really, the technology allows us to trust each other. You know that if I'm sending you a message from my wallet, or if I'm sending you money, or if I'm sending you a picture, or anything of confidence, right? A secret password, right? That can be encrypted and put on the blockchain for you to come and pick up. That's not like a Google service, right? Where Google can look at everything that you put on it, or anywhere else, right? So trust becomes, trust is everything. Trust is the most important. And when you can start running a company all on a blockchain, so everybody can see what that company is doing, I believe that the companies that hide in secret, that aren't on a blockchain, that are not full disclosure, that hide things, that consumers will use them less and less. And I think that companies that are full disclosure, that are on a blockchain, that are truthful, they will get more customers, that they will run more efficiently because they can cooperate with partners without worrying about a contract, breaking a contract, or anything that's harmful. So if everything's on a blockchain, then there's no secrets. And if you're a bad actor, if you don't fulfill your contracts, in the world today, then that's when a lot of bad business happens. On the blockchain, you have these contracts that are self-executing, that you can't break them. Once you agree to a contract, it will happen. So, you will get paid when this happens. And to me, that's a much healthier way to do business. And because it's healthier, there'll be less crime, and prices will be able to be competitive, or even better pricing than a company that has to deal with fraud and the waste of not having a layer of trust. So it's a very new world with working on a blockchain, and I think it's inevitable. And I think people now that are getting into it will be part of a wave that, once it takes off, like any new programming language or anything that's miles apart from everything else, the people that understand it and that are masters of it will do very well. And so that's what I wanted to explain to y'all. Have ever encountered any cyber attacks over your years of experience? Yeah, I've got a couple of cyber attack stories for sure. Back in the 90s, I was running an internet service provider, a way for my community to get onto the internet through telephones, dial-up, and my main server got hacked, and they didn't cause damage, but they lived on my server. They wanted to use my fast speed and the storage space on my server, so they they were actually a good hacker. They didn't cause damage. They just used my resources and then left. That's kind of a cool story. But just in general, the history of attacks, of coordinated attacks, DDoS attacks. You've heard of this stuff. The blockchain can suffer from DDoS attacks as well, but it's diversified. So if you can't get on over here, then you try a different server to get on. So to me, diversification is the answer to those sorts of attacks. DDoS, where it's so many signals, it's jamming up the pipelines. But other types of attacks, those go by the wayside when no one's injecting code into your code. In other words, the code on the blockchain can be vetted. You can see the code, even if you're not a programmer. There's nothing hiding, and so people like in Twitter or like what I'm showing you can affirm that code works for them, that they've been using it for years. And just, you can see the record of how many people are using that code if you don't know how to read the code. But nothing can get on the blockchain without having been vetted by 20 or more programmers. I can get into the vetting system, but the idea is that if it gets on the blockchain, it can be trusted. If it was put on the blockchain by a particular wallet that controls it, but can't change it, right? And so the idea of, I don't know if I'm answering your question, attending to your question, but the idea of running code off a blockchain and just between it and your browser eliminates all sorts of crazy old school attacks. Are there going to be new types of attacks? No, the whole idea of doing it this way is that there's nothing in between your browser and the blockchain. There's no middleman attack. There's no server that can go haywire. There's nobody at Google that can decide they want to burn down the system and let all your secure data out into the world. That happens all the time, right, with these companies. So the idea of a decentralized business, that nobody owns it, nobody runs it, it's run automatically by the coding. So that's how this and other software will work in the future. I hope that answered your question, kind of. Any other questions?
Yeah, Blessing as I asked a question, so just go ahead to ask a question, Blessing.
Oh, cool. All right.
Blessing, ask a question.
I see it here.
No, not you, Blessing Isaiah. Blessing
Okay.
Isaiah. Yeah.
I see here, our blockchain services hosted on the cloud, right?
Oh, did she?
Yeah, that's a great question from Blessing.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So to me, cloud technology is often like, big warehouses full of servers, right? Owned by one company though. Like, so you might use the AWS cloud, the Amazon cloud, right? Or, Apple's got their cloud. And those are all run by particular companies that could change their policy and do bad things with your code or your data. They have a certain responsibility, but they're a corporation, right? And they do things in secret. And so to answer your question, blockchains tend to be run from servers all over the world. And yes, some of those servers could be a cloud server, a cloud owned server, right? That somebody rents and then runs the blockchain software on that server. So it's not ideal that you run a blockchain out of the cloud, but that, ultimately, to run a server, it takes a machine a little stronger than a laptop, but not much stronger. And you can run it out of your house. And depending on the strength of your connection, It could participate in minting blocks, or it could just be a validator of the blocks. Both of those roles does help a blockchain be healthy. So it's really the participation of lots of independent computers. They could be on the cloud. They could be running out of my home or my office space, or, you know, I could rent them on different parts of the world. I don't know if that answers your question. So when you say cloud, to me, those are managed machines by a company, by a corporation like Google or somebody. And though that's possible, that's an expensive way to run a blockchain. Usually you can get cheaper machines that you can run out of your home or in the cloud, but they don't have to be managed. They don't have to, you don't have to take on the expense. You run the software and then it's pretty much hands off. It just has to do a lot of processing. There we go. So, and think of a blockchain as like an API, right? You make a call to an API, like like artificial intelligence. You can hook up to various AI APIs, right? You make certain calls to them. Same thing with the blockchain. But it's different in that it's peer-to-peer, that it takes the combination of lots of computers that all talk to each other, agree on the information stored in different places, and if everybody agrees, well, then we can trust that information. That's a very different setup than cloud data, which doesn't have that sort of consensus mechanism. It could be hacked somewhere in between.
Yo, is there any other question from anyone? There's another question. Are blockchains hosted in the cloud?
Yeah,
Are
that's what I just answered. From Blessing.
Then, yeah. The next one. What do you think is the future of cybersecurity? Because looking at cybersecurity, Blessing, can you just ask this question? Elaborate more on it, please. This is a very, very important question. Blessing, please. Blessing, as I just elaborate on this very question. You just drop this one right now. Blessing. Hello.
She doesn't want to be heard.
Really?
I don't think so. That's fine. She asked a good question.
Okay, just answer it.
So you can share files and a lot of things using blockchain. Correct. Sorry, I'm just reading this now. Sorry, Praise. Okay. Can't actions be revoked? Oh, what do you mean by that? Can actions be revoked? No. So the idea of a blockchain is once it's minted onto the block, onto the blockchain, then nobody can ever change it. And that's pretty cool. Yeah, so that's the idea. And so when you run a company on a blockchain, there's no funny stuff. There's no secrets. They're not doing bad things to people and getting away with it. If you run your company fully on a blockchain, then everybody can see everything that you do. And that to me is ideal. It's even good for competition. Competition can learn from you. They could be better competitors if they're also on the blockchain. If they're not on the blockchain, they're probably doing things in secret, and you probably don't want to do business with them. And I think that the world will start to understand the difference. I think the world now is looking for governments to trust, businesses to trust. Who do we trust anymore? The news, all these things, right? So the blockchain is the only technology I know of that you can't hack. You can't change the truth. What advice do you have for new software engineers? Yeah, just in general, if you understand my life story, I've just always explored the new sort of technologies to learn it. Like if you guys are all into AI, I've checked it out. It's fantastic stuff, and you become a master at whatever you think is helpful to people, right? We all have a problem we want to solve. That's what makes us good programmers. And if we see a way that AI can solve problems, we're going to pursue that with a passion. And so that's you want my advice, find a problem that you really want to solve, because you'll be a master at it. And whether you make money from solving that problem or not, you have a skill that other people will pay for you solving their problems. So every once in a while, I will get a real job and get paid money to solve somebody else's problems. But for the most part, I've been living cheaply in order to work on my project that I think is going to help the world. I think it's a new way, and it's not just me. It's this whole group of people on the DISO, part of the DISO community, all working towards this new future of the micropayments and trust. Very important.
Yeah. So, okay.
I was going to read the next thing, but yeah, go ahead. You have another question?
Yeah. So this question is really important. What do you think about the future? Because blockchain is more like something that is locked up and no one can hack it and no one can get into it. So
That's
thinking
right.
about it in the concept of cybersecurity, using it in cybersecurity. Normally, cybersecurity currently is about hacking systems and all those things, but blockchain is cybersecurity. So what do you think is the future of cybersecurity in this content, in this
Yeah.
in this regard?
Yeah, good question. I think the rest of the world will be slow to adapt towards blockchain solutions. So cybersecurity is still going to be a big thing because we're using centralized, computer systems. They're not taking advantage of this peer-to-peer security system that is the blockchain. Where you can't change the data. So, there's always going to be attacks on your personal machine. There's all sorts of things. I think that the technology is still immature. I think we'll be making browsers that are only for blockchain because everything else will be exploitable. So one of the things I've been pursuing with the group on the DISO blockchain is a way to govern such a business entity where there's no one person in charge, but as a group, the programmers, the marketers, the administrators, the customers, the investors, all the people that are involved with the business can participate and vote. I'll share my screen really quick one last time here to show you a DAO. So a DAO is a real corporate entity in a lot of countries. And excuse me for 1 second. Let me share this. And so we have a voting system, and I'll leave the link in the chat here. Copy. But here's a governance system that we are participating in, where it's democracy, where you have representation. People represent other people, and this is how it programmatically works. And you basically agree to contracts that are programs that are self-executing. So once an organization, all the participants reach a decision, that software automatically executes and gives money to budgets or whatever the contract is. It employs someone to write some software, or someone wants to become a new member, or we want to fire a member. We want to remove a member. So every little thing gets voted on. Everything gets executed by code that's on the blockchain, and everything is all the data is saved on the blockchain. So you can go back through the history. There's no secrets at all. And so we've written a white paper about it. It's a pretty big group of people. And when I mean big group, I mean like 20 people, which is kind of cool. It's not huge. It's not thousands, but it's a group. We've been going at this for over a year now, and we believe that over time, there I am. Over time, this is where the world's gonna wind up, both in coding and doing business, and a full disclosure, decentralized, autonomous organization, a DAO. All right. That's what I wanted to say there. All right.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah. Any other question? I really want to go because it's
Okay.
long.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks. Not really sure about 100% cyber attack. What are the chances of cyber attack on the block, especially when it's
Oh,
hosted personal servers? Yeah. Okay. So
oh yeah.
yeah, just real quick. So yeah. So how the blockchain works, and this is a beautiful thing, is that you would have to hack more than 50% of those servers. So you might be able to hack my machine, my server, and maybe a couple other people's, but you'd have to do it at the same time. And you'd have to do it in the same way that you're trying to fool the majority of the servers out there. So if you're only 1% of the servers being hacked and everybody else is agreeing to what they have to say, and they can see that you're telling a lie, and so you'll be dismissed. Now, if you get 51% of the servers on board, or you can hack all of them at the same time, good luck. And that's what protects a blockchain. And so Bitcoin's got 100,000 different servers, different people running them, right? So that makes Bitcoin super, super safe. So the more people that participate and run a server, a validator. So, check all those things out. I absolutely believe it's the future of programming. Of
Okay.
computing,
Oh, I was muted.
and being cyber secure, right? So, all right. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. So there's another question. How do you
Oh,
think the decentralized Web3
that's 3.
will
Yeah.
differ from the traditional Web2? And what implications with this app for web developers?
Yeah. Yeah. So really, that's everything I've been focused on for the last 7 years for sure, that I've been building out my project. But I've had the bug in me for 20 years before the internet. That the Web 2 does not make sense, where you have these centralized businesses controlling everything. You have Twitter making decisions, changing things, giving people's identities away by accident, maybe. Google, Facebook, all these big companies, right? Instead, Web 3 brings the blockchain into it. So it's decentralized, so that there is no one company controlling it, or a few people in that company controlling it, but that a company called a DAO, stands for decentralized autonomous organization, that people can come and go in this company and put in their 2 cents, put in their vote, and steer the company towards doing good things. And if the company does bad things, it will be out there for everybody to see. They'll lose customers and investment, and people will go to another company that's doing it right. So Web 2 to me is got another 5 years left tops. And any code you're building for that, is going to be dead code. It's going to be, it's not going to be used, because it won't be working in this decentralized way.
That's really, really interesting. I think that guy is scared. He's like, oh God, they're gonna get my job from me. Anyways, I really want to appreciate you for your time and giving us your time and making time
Oh,
to
that
come
was
talk to.
cool. Good questions. Thanks for hanging out and listening.
Yeah, you can also like join us going forward, like in all our sessions. I'm gonna be sharing them with you, maybe when we meet on or something. But we are gonna do a whole lot of sessions going forward, you know. But oh yeah,
So there's a link to the RDAO. You
okay.
can read about that decentralized autonomous organization, what we do there. And you don't have to get an account with Diesel, but if you look in the upper corner, you can go and log in, and and it's free, and you can go check it out. And I think they give you a
I've
couple
shared it,
of
I've
pennies
shared
for
it,
free. Yeah.
I've shared it to the community, so all of them can see it.
Cool.
I just did
Cool.
that right now.
But
Also, if you guys are not in the group, I've shared the community link so you can join.
cool.
Also, you guys please talk about today's session out there. Post it out. Talk about it, and probably
I want to mention really quick, Daniel. I'm so sorry. There's
yeah.
other great projects, other blockchains. There's one called ICP. It stands for Internet Computer Protocol. Check that out. ICP. Farcaster. Yeah, a Warpcast. There's all sorts of things going on that are done on the blockchain. So check it out and look for decentralization. That's the key. Keep things decentralized.
That is really interesting.
Cool.
No way, I'm not gonna leave my AI. I'll still be here. Anyways, I really want to appreciate everyone for joining us today. You know, right now I want to go get dinner. It's really, I've tried my best. Bye bye.
Thanks, guys. See you now.
See you guys later, please.
Thanks, Daniel. That was fun, man.
Yeah, like I really want to appreciate you for, you know, creating time to talk to us.
That
I'm
was cool.
so grateful.
Cool, man.
I'm so grateful. Like,
Well, I wish you the best of luck with everything. Let's stay in touch, okay? We'll do more
yeah,
Vibe.
so I'm gonna give you a link to the video once the video is out. All right, I'm gonna give you a link to the video once it is out, and also I'm gonna share the community link on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, so everyone can go follow the community. You know, yeah.
Wait.
Um,
Hey, Precious has the hand
there's a
raised.
question. Precious, oh my goodness, please, I want to go away. I'm hungry. Precious, go ahead.
What's
So,
up?
Yeah, Precious, go ahead. Volume. Precious. Hello. Precious.
Take it once. All right. Yeah. Thank you so much. Okay. I just want to ask because I'm a web developer yet. So, Sir Daniel, you said that in the next 5 to 10 years that Web 2 we have to move towards building decentralized app that's move towards Web 3, that decentralized app. So I just want to know what kind of frameworks to actually start looking into now.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I know a lot of, yeah, all right, cool. Good question. I know a lot of them use Node.js. That seems to be very common if you're familiar with that. All the languages tend to be JavaScript centric or some variation of JavaScript, I have noticed. So I do everything in JavaScript. I don't even use Node.js. I try to avoid libraries like that. Just because I like to be completely transparent, and all that stuff is minified and you can't really see what's going on in the code. But yeah, if you want to get into this for sure, I think, a lot of the Web 2 skills are highly transferable, right? To Web 3. So whatever path you're on now with Web 2, great. I think any of those skill sets, but lean into the JavaScript and away from PHP, and Python. Those I believe are going to be phased out with the way that browsers talk to API systems. And it's all about APIs, smart APIs. So, talking to artificial intelligent APIs, talking to medical records, to government records, library, all this stuff is going to be API centric, right? And even APIs will move to the decentralized world, right? So you'll still be communicating to them in the way that we do in Web 2. Was that helpful?
Yes.
It's not a huge leap, but it's just a different way of thinking about how you program and the money layer and the trust, where everybody has a wallet, so that the user doesn't have these awkward passwords and they're all different systems, but one unified system based on your wallet.
Yeah, I heard you said Python is gonna be waived out.
What do I know? I don't want to discourage anybody, but and again, there's going to be businesses that will pay people for a long time. It takes a long time to phase out anything that's established. That's the truth. But I think the skills that will be in demand are the ones that are looking at Web3 and decentralization and blockchain.
Okay. Peace to all the Web3 developers.
Great, man. That was excellent. Thank you.
Yeah,
Go
man.
eat.
I think
Go eat. Go eat.
for real, I'm so grateful. All right, Daniel,
All right.
thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for creating
All right,
time.
Daniel.
I'm
So
gonna
good to
try
see
to come on vibe on this week. All right. I've
you.
been
Okay.
really busy. I've been really busy like the entire of this week. But starting from tomorrow, I'm gonna try to come to vibe on.
Tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Tomorrow at 2 o'clock, we have our a whole gang at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. You know, so
Really?
you, yeah, you
Yeah,
can
that's the
listen.
same time.
It's a long meeting. It's usually boring, but it's very professional, and you'll see what we're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna come. I'm gonna come. I'm gonna join you
Okay.
guys. I'm gonna just sit down and watch you guys code and watch my boss.
Yeah. All right, go eat, brother.
Man, I have to go. I have to go. I have
All
to
right.
go. I'm hungry. See, guys, please talk about the session, talk about what you've learned, out there. Go to Twitter, go to LinkedIn, then tell people about what you've learned in the session. Um, follow our social medias, Computer Vision Africa, and all social media platforms. And you know, that is all. Daniel is out. I have to go to peace in this house. Let me stop the recording. I love you guys. Bye. Oh my goodness. Mm-hmm.